Believe in Bigfoot? Dogman? Any cryptid? Are you skeptical?
Curious about the supernatural, conspiracy theories, the unknown? Then come join us as we explore facts, tall tales, and encounters on Creatures and Curiosities.
Hey, welcome once again to Creatures and Curiosities. I'm David.
And I'm Jake.
And in this week's episode, we are going to be talking about the Jersey Devil.
This one, it kind of freaks me out a little bit because what do you think it is?
You know, I don't know. I've seen so many pictures of it. I've heard many different accounts of it. And, you know, sometimes they're a little bit different. 1 minute it's a goat head and hooved feet. And
then it's a horse.
And then it's a horse. And then it's claws and forked tail versus, you know, just a regular tail. Bat wings versus, you know, other descriptions of it. But I guess when I think of the Jersey Devil, and probably just because the term devil is in there, it kind of sounds as though it could be like a demonic spirit or entity.
Something evil, frightening, yeah.
Something evil. And even though I don't believe there are any accounts of it killing anybody, I mean, even like in our previous episodes of gnomes and Bigfoot and stuff, there's no specific information that would indicate that either of those things had killed anything either. But there's so many people that have gone missing in national forests.
And that's the thing.
And so many conspiracy theories on why people are missing in national forests. And I don't know if you've ever seen it, but I was going to send it to you, come to think of it. I was looking at this map, and it is a map of all of the national parks in America. And what they've done is they went through and they put like a pinpoint for every place where there's been a missing person.
Right.
And there's a lot. I mean, there's a lot of them. In fact, I was just watching a TV show the other night, a movie where I can't even remember what it was called, Dark Close something. I can't remember, but it was about national parks. It was about kind of like aliens were taking people, and the park rangers were in on it. You know, I literally just watched it. It wasn't a very good movie, but nonetheless, there are so many different accounts of people missing in national parks that there is something to it, you know. And then in this particular thing that I was going to send you, on the bottom of this looks like a meme. You know, you got the map on the top of missing people, and then the bottom map is a plotting of where all the Bigfoot sightings were. And if you were to overlay them, they matched like perfectly. It's like every place that somebody was missing, unaccounted for and never found, it's an area where there were multiple sightings of Bigfoots.
It's a little awkwardly coincidental.
Awkwardly coincidental. Now, in the case of the Jersey Devil, I don't think there is anything like that that would indicate that it's taken people or killed people. But I know that was I don't know if you want to call it a rational or irrational fear, but many years ago it was a fear that they were going to steal children and
when you
steal
see
souls and all that kind of
clawed
stuff.
winged goat flying through the air.
Yeah.
Fear is probably the only thing that's acceptable at that
Fear
point.
is definitely acceptable.
Well, whatever it is, I mean, there's numerous stories, theories, call it what you want, of how this thing possibly started.
Right.
So some of the smaller ones, take for instance, there was a young lady in Leeds Point who in 1778 ends up falling in love with a British soldier. So obviously time.
Bad news.
Yeah, we're talking
American Revolutionary War.
So
right.
Americans at the time are engaging at the Battle of Chestnut Neck. So the townsfolk, of course, are freaking out, thinking this lady's a conspirator. She's committing treason, and they are, well, they're outraged.
Yeah.
So they accuse her of treason, and then they curse her. She later gives birth to what's known as the Leeds Devil.
Okay.
So that's one of the stories.
I don't know if I've heard that one.
Yeah, and during the research, there's a lot of them. The most famous one we'll get to shortly, but another one is same thing. Out in Leeds Point, young girl comes across a gypsy lady who's starving, begging for food.
Okay, frightening enough.
Yep, it's terrifying. I can't help but think of the movie Thinner.
Oh yeah.
For those of you who haven't seen this movie, the guy gets cursed. Big fat guy gets cursed.
Right.
The lady says something to him, and he ends up losing so much weight that he almost dies from it.
Yeah.
Well, kind of same case here. Gypsy lady wants some food from her. She freaks out, scared of her, goes to run away. The gypsy lady curses her as she's running away. And with that curse comes, of course, the Jersey Devil, or the Leeds Devil, as they call it.
Okay.
But the most famous story took place in Leeds Point, involving Daniel Leeds, his wife, and their 12 kids.
Okay, yeah. So I know that the most famous account, that's the one pretty much everybody knows, and I know there's been some stories about it, but I think maybe before we get into the actual story, why don't we talk a little bit about the Leeds family?
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, because, prior to doing the research on this, I really had no idea who Daniel Leeds was, and kind of, well, I wouldn't even say it's his importance, but how many people were involved in the Leeds family history and some of the things that came out of that. Or
he was a lot more famous than I think most people know, because I was in the same boat as you. I had no idea about him whatsoever.
Never heard of the guy. Always heard of Mother Leeds, giving birth to this
exactly.
devil, but I didn't really know anything about Daniel, and so it was kind of interesting because kind of got into some genealogy with him and looking at state records and stuff as it related to both his religious and his political stature and people that he was feuding with at the time, up to his death. And it's actually kind of fascinating stuff. But so we'll start with Leeds Point itself in New Jersey is outside the Galloway Township in Atlantic County. And this is, I guess people would know it, yes, like the Pine Barrens, because all the movies and stuff about the Jersey Devil are, it always takes place in the Pine Barrens.
It's always in the woods. Yep,
so
Pine Barrens there.
Flying above the tree line and swooping down on people and stuff. So anyway, this takes place out in Leeds Point. And Daniel, he is a Quaker. And the Quaker basically was the Religious Society of Friends. They were kind of a Protestant group. And they were mostly from England, and they were immigrants, and they came here to the U.S., and they settled in an area called Burlington, which is now known as New Jersey. And I think it was long about 1687 or so, Daniel actually published one of the first almanacs, which he named the American Almanac.
Yeah, and the Quakers weren't happy about that.
Oh, they were not.
No.
In fact, they lost their minds over it because he was using astrological data, and he came up with like symbols and language that certainly wasn't appropriate for the era and for that particular religion.
Yeah, it didn't fit with their ideals at all.
They did not like it. And so, he wanted to continue with his almanac. And so he gave a public apology. And the Quakers then, after he apologized to I think it was George Fox was the leader of the Quakers at the time.
Right.
And he apologized to them, but they still ordered that every single copy of his almanac be collected and destroyed. And so he was very angry over that. He was probably more angry than the Quakers were over, what he was publishing.
Well, he's so mad he leaves the group.
Yeah.
Because he's furious.
He's so ticked off, he decides, I don't even want to be a Quaker anymore.
Yeah.
So yeah, he blows out of there, and he continues to publish his almanac. And then I guess he's so outraged by, and I guess he just feels betrayed, by the people that he was close to and the religion that he was in, that in 1688, he ends up publishing a book that he entitles The Temple of Wisdom. And it was his theory on origins of the universe, in which he spoke of like angels and devils, and again, a bunch of astrological data and stuff, which really took the Quakers by storm
Yeah,
this time.
now he's just poking the bear at this point. Yeah,
He is definitely poking the bear, and they are ticked. And so they're kind of coming out against him and doing some, public talking about his writings are basically of the devil. That's kind of where they're going with it. But just before they really went ballistic on him and started writing their own pieces, he writes another book called The Trumpet Sounded Out of the Wilderness of America. And this piece that he wrote literally was just straight out anti-Quaker. And he ended up accusing them of being against the English monarchy. And he said that they were denying Christ's divinity, which, that was a big slap in the face to the Quakers.
Yeah. If they weren't happy before, they're definitely not happy now.
Definitely not happy. So he continues slamming the Quakers, as much as he can throughout his lifetime.
They come out, because they're so mad, retaliating against him with these little pamphlets claiming that he actually worked for the devil.
Right. Yeah. And so a lot of the ideology here is that because Mr. Leeds was the devil or working for the devil, that's where they kind of coined the term the Leeds Devil.
Leeds Devil, yeah.
And Leeds Devil, of course, later turned into the Jersey Devil. But so, yeah, in 1716, Daniel actually retires and leaves the almanac to his son, Titan. And Titan, when I was looking at the genealogy records, Titan was like the last in a line of, I think he had like eight kids with this one particular wife. And Titan was the youngest boy. So he tells Titan, hey, I want you to take over the almanac. I want you to keep this going. And, that was spiteful.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, it was just in your face to the Quakers. And so Titan does take over the almanac, and he continues to do the same thing that Daniel did, where he's using the stars and astrology and demons and devils and angels and whatever he could to, come up with the information for his book.
And even on the front of the almanac, Titan puts their family crest,
right?
Which, funny enough, it actually looks kind of like the Jersey Devil.
Yes.
With all the different descriptions you get, I mean, it's got wings, it's got its claws reared up,
yeah,
it's got like animal head,
like a horse head or a dragon head or something on it. Yeah, and when you look at it, I've looked at pictures of that almanac, and you can definitely see there's a resemblance to what is the current day Jersey Devil. But, kind of as a fun fact that goes along with this, which this is where stuff I didn't know. I mean, I didn't really know that much about Daniel Leeds anyway.
Right.
But so doing the research on this, it turns out that during that same time, this is when Benjamin Franklin started working on his Poor Richard's Almanac. And it's said that Benjamin was kind of ticked off about the competition. He wanted to be the only one writing an almanac. And even though the Quakers did everything they could to discredit Daniel and Titan, it was still gaining some ground,
right?
And people were reading the almanac, and they were, and Franklin didn't like it,
not at all.
And he's like, no, this
he didn't want the
isn't
competition,
happen. Right? So he's going to go on this campaign, and smear Titan, and so he actually goes so far, and I've read two different accounts: one that it was serious, one that he was clearly joking. But he comes out and publicly says that Titan is going to die in the year 1735, which again, the irony there is that is supposedly the year
Birth of the Jersey Devil.
Birth of the Jersey Devil,
There it
right?
is.
So, you can see where historical fact is turning into this legend, right? And so anyway, he makes this claim that Titan is going to die. And then he comes out and says that Titan did die, that he rose from the dead, and he is now a ghost that
Haunting
Benjamin. Yeah. It's like, boy, he's pretty desperate to get his almanac out there that he's just going to slander this guy and say he came back from the dead. And of course, the death, I guess what he's trying to get at is that the devil, summoned him up from the grave to come back and just torture, Benjamin Franklin.
Exactly.
And he wanted the public to believe that. And so it's passed off as a joke, but Titan actually does die in about 1738. And so again, that can rise to a story of, the Jersey Devil.
And even if he was joking about all that stuff, the American people, both politically and religiously, declared Daniel and Titan as monsters.
Right.
And that they
gave him the nickname.
Exactly.
Leeds Devils.
So,
And so, if you got a Leeds Devil, that can obviously lead to the spawn of the Jersey Devil. And that's where the story comes in, is that Daniel was the husband and actually gave birth to the Jersey Devil. So if you want, why don't you start with the actual account? And this is, like I said, this is the most famous account. This is the one I've always known. It's the one that most movies are predicated on.
well, because it's horrifying.
It is horrifying.
If it happened the way they claim it happens.
If it did happen, yes, it's a pretty horrifying story.
So it's 1735.
Yeah.
It's a dark, stormy night. The wind is howling, rain's coming down sideways, and Deborah Smith, or Deborah Leeds, known in the legend as Mother Leeds, was at her house, and she had a few midwives with her. Her husband Daniel, and they had 12 kids, I think.
Yeah.
She's about to give birth, and during it, it's a long birth. She's worn out, she's tired, she's in pain. But the legend goes that she screams out, "Let this child be the devil."
Right. Well, because it was the 13th child too, and
Right.
you know how the number 13 in
Exactly.
it's superstition and whatnot, and she's worn out from trying to raise 12 kids. And I think, if I remember right, when I was reading about it, and I don't know that there's any credibility to this, but they're claiming that Daniel was kind of a drunk and a loser.
Yeah, and that they had several kids who had a lot of birth defects and mental disabilities,
and
which
back then,
that was evil.
that
coming
was
through.
evil. That was of the devil.
That was the work of the
woman
devil.
Was cursed if she gave birth to like a retarded child or a deformed child or
Yeah.
something. And that it just was they didn't accept that as being a normal like birth defect. That clearly there was something wrong. But I think part of her frustration was, if he was a drunk and he was a loser, and he retired and turned stuff over to Titan to do, he's probably just lounging around the house. And of course, it's before TV, so what's he doing? He's not helping with the kids.
Watching her take care of 12 kids.
She's changing diapers and losing her mind. And you kind of figure she's exasperated, right? I mean, she's so burned out. She can't get any help from her husband. She's got midwives there. She's got a long birth. Of course, she's going to curse this kid. I kind of don't blame her, but anyway, yeah. So the story goes, she's pissed off and she curses her own child.
Curses him. So a little bit more time goes on. She gives some pushes, and out pops a baby boy.
Yeah.
And he looks normal at first. But as she holds him, so the legend goes, he starts to transform.
Which, could you imagine?
There's no way.
I mean, you have a little boy.
Yeah.
And just imagine if you're holding that little boy and he starts transforming into some kind of a beast right in front of you.
Yeah, his feet start turning into hooves. hands are turning into claws and they're pulling up tight against his body, almost like a T-Rex would be.
No, Jesus.
And then his head and face start transforming, like you were saying. Maybe horns are coming out like a goat, or he's got that long horse face. And
man.
it also, he starts growling and like shrieking at them. And the legend says that he gets to full size. Now, I don't know what that means. Does it mean that full size for a Jersey Devil at that age, or is it from what people have seen now?
And you know what comes to mind when you were describing the transformation and stuff? I don't know. This is going to predate you, but I was terrified as a kid when I watched it. Did you ever see the movie Rosemary's Baby?
No.
So she ends up in this like devil's cult, and her husband is part of it. She's I think it was Mia Farrow. It was, and if I got that wrong, people will correct me, but I think it was Mia Farrow was the actress. And she's pregnant. Her husband is part of this cult, but she doesn't know that. And so they're giving her these what she thinks is like vitamins and stuff in her milk, but I think it's like blood from virgins and things like that, and they're literally cursing her baby. And so when this little baby gets born, and towards the end of the movie, she ends up accepting it at the end, but I remember having nightmares forever when I was a little kid, because it was, it's in this black stroller, right? Creepy stroller, like 60s kind of stuff. Everything looked big and bulky back then, not streamlined like it is today. But she sees the kid, and the kid's eyes are like glowing, and it's got hooves, and it's a devil. She like gave birth to the Antichrist or to a devil of some kind, but she ends up loving it anyway and raising it. But anyway, when you were describing that, that's what I was thinking is how horrifying would that be?
Especially if
to watch it transform.
And if, in the movie, obviously, that was their intention. But this lady, maybe she, like you said, she was just in pain.
Yeah.
Maybe she just
said the wrong thing at the wrong time. But you asked when it says it grew to full size. Right. And so I've seen a lot of stuff on the Jersey Devil, and some people say it's between like 3 to 4 feet tall. Other people have said it's like 6 feet tall. And so depending upon whose account,
even if it gets 3 feet.
Yeah,
from a baby to a 3-foot winged goat.
Oh, yeah.
With claws and hooves.
Terrifying. And just imagine that thing ripping out of her hands. The wing spread comes out, and that thing's hovering around in that little cabin out in the middle of nowhere. How horrifying that would be.
In the legend, supposedly it flies out of her arms and starts beating and whipping the midwives with its tail.
Oh, jeez.
So, can imagine, like you said, 3 to even 5 foot tall thing just starts flying around, whipping you. And you got to think that it's not that they had, ready shotguns back then, like we could now. But how do you defend yourself against that?
What could you do? And
cover up and hope for the best.
And where's Daniel and the kids at this point?
He's drunk in the other room.
He's drunk in the other room and doesn't really care.
Yeah, he's passed out.
He figures it's just another heathen,
She'll take care of it.
She'll take care of it, yeah.
It starts flying around, whipping the midwives. Some say it killed a few of the midwives before flying in where Daniel and the children were. It killed several of the children and injured a few. And it escaped out of the chimney and off into the Pine Barrens.
Oh, man.
So you got to think, if he's not passed out drunk and he's watching it.
And he just watched some of his kids being slaughtered.
Or maybe he's not a drunk. Yeah. Maybe the legend just says that. And you're thinking that she's going to walk in, or one of the midwives are going to walk in with your new baby boy, but the door bursts open and here comes a 5-foot.
Here comes the devil. Well, I got to tell you, I have 6 kids myself. I can sympathize with her.
Yeah.
Could you imagine 13? You would lose your mind.
Especially back then.
And if you're a drunk in the room and you see 4 or 5 of your kids slaughtered, hey, I'm down to like 7 or 8 now,
exactly.
So maybe it's not so bad.
Couple left mouth to feed.
That's terrible, but I can't even imagine, if this is a true story, which, I'm skeptical on this kind of stuff, right?
Yeah, these are tough ones because
I believe 100% in the spiritual realm.
absolutely.
And I do believe that someday an Antichrist is going to be born, if he's not already, and live on this earth. Is that going to be a fable down the road? Is that going to, when it really does happen, if you believe in the Bible, if you don't, fine. But if you do, and that kind of thing happens, do you just write that off? Because we're writing this off.
Right.
What if the Leeds Devil or the Jersey Devil is the modern day Antichrist, and we just laugh at the story and we move on? I mean, it's just food for thought.
Yeah.
Things can happen that are outside the realm of normalcy. And we just chalk it up as being something silly, but what if it was real?
It's horrifying.
It is horrifying. Yeah. And, I don't know if you've read about this kind of stuff, but I've even heard that they were so terrified over the fact that this horrifying, deformed flying baby flew out into the Pine Barrens that they got local clergymen from the town to go out, and they were actually going to try and exorcise the demon out of the Barrens.
But of course they couldn't find it.
They could not find him. So he's out there flying around still to this day, I mean, who knows if it's real or if it's not real. But yeah, so that's the inception, right? So you got we gave 3 different accounts of,
and there's plenty more.
There's plenty more
little
out
legends and stuff that you can read into and
Yeah,
choose which one you.
I'm sure if you searched long enough, you'd find all kinds of different stories on
Absolutely.
how he came about. But
I think that one's the most exciting because it's the most horrifying. Not that the other ones aren't frightening as well, but
yeah, it makes a way better movie than some girl that got cursed by a gypsy.
Exactly.
That gave
I've seen
birth
that
to
movie.
a devil and flew away right off the bat. I mean, this thing flew around in a room and whipping people with his tail,
killing several children,
eviscerating the midwives and killing children while the drunk watches. And I mean, it's a way better story, obviously. But so there's been numerous sightings of this guy. So regardless of how it came to be, right? Obviously, when people are saying that they saw something, it's like hearkening back to our Bigfoot episode.
right?
If one person in thousands actually saw it, it has to exist,
It
right?
has to exist. And there's so many stories that there's not a lot of quote unquote evidence to. It's just, so and so and their girlfriend, wife, husband, whatever, were driving and saw something fly across the sky that looked like this.
Right.
And that's all they have for a story.
And in this particular case with this type of a creature, that's all you're going to get is a glimpse, right?
Oh,
I mean,
exactly.
unless it's trying to attack you or something flying across the night sky or flying into a dense forest, and maybe it's just above the tree line, and kind of like our little, our podcast cover art where you got the Jersey Devil
Exactly.
in the moonlight,
Yeah.
but you only get him for a second. And
imagine-
it's gone. You could never get a picture of that.
Imagine you're driving down, we'll call it a 2-lane highway, or even a 4-lane, 2 lanes going one way, 2 lanes going the other, but it's heavily wooded on the sides. You're driving, something flies across. How fast can you get in your pocket, like we've talked about before,
right.
get that camera out and snap it before it's gone?
Yeah, I
You
couldn't-
couldn't do that with an eagle, and we know there's eagles out there.
Right. I couldn't get the pheasant in my backyard. So, yeah, there's no way that you could ever probably get evidence unless it just happenstance right in front of you while you had a camera in your hand.
Exactly.
And even then, if it's fluttering across the sky, I'm sure it's not, a butterfly hanging out in front of you for a while. It's probably pretty quick. And
Yeah.
I doubt you'd get any evidence on it.
And what's the quality of your camera you're holding?
Yeah.
Is it an iPhone?
And at night.
Exactly.
So I don't think there's any credible photos of it. We're going to talk about a couple as we talk about sightings. And I was thinking about maybe posting them on our Instagram page so that our viewers can see what we're talking about in case they haven't. But even if they didn't visit our page, you can look online.
Just Google it. Yeah. Pretty
Google
straightforward.
it, and then see what you think about it. I personally not sure I'm buying the latest two photos, but yeah, if you want to get into it, why don't we start with the last one? So, I mean, it's 2024, right? And doing some research on this, I can't find anything that's happened within the last 5 to 7 years
Same.
or so.
Yeah, and even if you try to specify by typing it in, nothing really comes up. The most recent sightings are some of these that we have right here.
Yeah. And so going back to 2015 or something is the most recent.
2015, yep. David
sighting.
Black,
Yeah.
security guard in Atlantic City. He was driving on Route 9 around 6 p.m., and he saw what he thought was a llama running in and out of the tree line. It was adjacent to some kind of golf course that he was driving by. I'm not sure exactly where that is. But as he got closer, he pulls out his camera, snaps a bunch of photos, and he only had one picture that turned out, which...
That's better than I got.
If you just read up to that point, that's... Like with the pheasant, that thing was
50,
even closer
50
to
shots on burst mode, and none of them turned out. So he got one that turned out, and I've seen it.
So he says the creature sprouted leathery type wings and took flight from the golf course. And he said he was freaked out, his heart was racing, and he was quoted as saying he had a childlike wonder and deep-seated child nightmare while capturing the picture of him. And I've seen it too. And
yeah, I mean, it's in flight and it's kind of blurry and it kind of looks like a goat. You can definitely see horns on the head. You can see like hooves.
Yep.
And a fairly good wingspan on it. It's clearly flying over it's like heading out of the trees. And
he's claiming that it was about the size of a deer. From his perspective.
Yeah, and when you look at the photo, that makes sense.
Right.
Now the photo is a little blurry, and just like we talked about, the comments is fake. This is ridiculous. Nice Photoshop job. This guy's claiming flat out, this is not fake. I took this photo. It's not been Photoshopped, not retouched in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
I don't know that there has been any testing of it, by a professional source to verify the validity of the photo. So I think it's just his word against everybody that's saying this is a fake.
Yeah, and I'm not trying to discredit the guy. In my opinion, I don't know. I'm not buying the picture. That's just me personally. He was freaked out about it though. He gave the picture out because he said he wanted to alert the community because he was worried that the creature could snatch children out of cribs and steal souls.
Oh, wow.
So, again, you can look at it a couple ways. Some people, like we talked about, they don't report stuff because they're worried they're going to be ridiculed. They're going to be called a weirdo, a nut job. And this guy's saying, no, I saw it. Yeah. And I want to let people know because it freaked me out. And I'm worried.
Well, and like we talked about in our last episode, there's a lot of people that should be credible.
Right.
Police officers.
Yep.
I mean, they make a living observing stuff, and forest rangers and park rangers and fish and game guys and
firemen.
And I mean, and I don't mean to leave out any other profession. I mean, doctors and lawyers and, it doesn't matter what you are. Not everybody's crazy. This guy is a security guard. Now, not to say that maybe there aren't some crazy security guards, but I mean, this guy does make a living, trying to protect people's lives. And he sees a cryptid. He gets a picture of it, which is very unusual, right?
Oh, yeah.
It is unusual. And like I said, I've seen it and I don't know. I can't speculate. It doesn't look 100% real to me, but it also doesn't look Photoshopped because if you're going to Photoshop it, you're going to make it look nice.
Right.
Right. And this thing was kind of blurry. Like he said, he took a few shots and only one turned out.
You could tell in the background that the trees are blurred too from potentially him moving or...
Yeah, movement of a camera in the evening because, the aperture has to stay open a little longer to get light in.
Right.
And so it does cause blur. So I don't know. And then when he literally comes out and says, I just want to alert the community that I saw it. He's not asking for notoriety. He's not asking for money.
No.
He's not asking for fame. He just wanted to warn people.
And then he's got some jerk on a podcast saying that he doesn't believe it.
Exactly. And so, but right after this happened, I mean, just like literally right around the same time, about 9 miles away, there was another sighting, right?
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Emily Martin. I think it was, correct me if I'm wrong, I think it was during Halloween time.
Right. Yeah.
She shoots a video of it. And she was out on Old Port Republic Road near Leeds Point. And like you said, it's less than 9 miles away from where David Black saw it. But she shoots this video, and I've watched the video.
I have too.
And you could see it. It kind of goes in an arc. You could see the wings flapping. Now, I'm going to backtrack what I said a little bit. I'm not 100% that David Black's thing, to me, in my opinion only, is a fake photo. I'm not saying it is. I'm just saying, to me, I lean more towards, I'm 55%. It's not real, 45%.
Right.
This one, though, this video to me
I'm not buying this one at all.
It doesn't look accurate whatsoever.
No. No, and just the fact that it was around Halloween time, I think that she was trying to make kind of a fun video, not that it was specifically a hoax, but I think it turns out a hoax because she was trying to represent it as something real.
Right.
So, it's one thing if you're having fun putting on a Jason mask or something, taking pictures. It's another thing if you're trying to say Jason's real and here he is. And that's what she did. This thing, your wife, my daughter, when they were growing up, I can't even remember the name of the toy. Okay. But it was this little, like a little pixie thing. It had wings like Tinkerbell. Okay. So it kind of looked like Tinkerbell.
Right.
And it went down in a stand and you pulled this string and it spun this little thing so fast that the wings came out and it shot off of this thing and it kind of fluttered through the sky. So the wings were moving on it, but the body never moved, right? Because it's plastic.
Right.
That's what this video reminded me
Exactly.
of. The body never moves. You see the fluttering of wings. It goes across the night sky, what it lasts just a couple seconds. And if it was the Jersey Devil, you'd see some hoof movement, something. The shoulders, as the wings were flapping.
It doesn't look like a natural wing movement.
It's absolutely not.
Not that I know what a natural wing movement of a Jersey Devil looks
not
like.
Not that we've actually seen the Jersey Devil, but in my mind, I picture, I have horses. If they were flying through the sky, their legs would not be stationary and the body not move. And, it was too fake.
Yeah.
Bottom line. And so I call hoax on that one.
Yeah.
Because she did try and pass it off as a real legitimate video.
Exactly.
And it's just not.
Right. Whereas Black, his was more so to protect people, to keep people alert. It wasn't like, look what I found, like you said. Yeah. It was of, hey, everyone be careful if you're out in this area.
Right.
Because this is out and about.
So both of them are on record as stating that they are real and they've never been altered in any way. His, like you said, 55%?
Yeah,
maybe,
you know what I mean?
Maybe. Hers, I'm going to give her maybe a 0.5% that it was real. But, good for her. She posted something. It was fun. If I can get a copy of that video, we'll post it so that people can see it. If not, just, Google. What was her name? Emily Martin or something?
Emily Martin, yep.
Google Emily Martin Halloween video and take a look at it yourself. And like I say, if you guys want to email me with your opinion on it or something, do so. And I call hoax. See what you say.
Yeah, same. We got another story. Let's see here. Traveling out of Route 9 in Bayville, there were 3 cars that were forced to slam on their brakes when one witness says a 10-foot tall Jersey Devil with a big long head, short flat ears ran across the road.
Wow. Okay, so that's like the tallest one I've ever heard.
Yeah, because the other ones,
I've
like you
always
said,
heard 3 to 6 foot in the
exactly.
range.
So this one's, and again, fear grips people different ways. And it's
does.
nighttime, so who knows? But they don't have much outside of that. But I think that's a lot of the reported stories that you get if you research these. One of the witnesses during that did say that the creature came out of a wooded area near the mini mall and galloped in front of traffic and then just disappeared onto the other side of the street into the woods.
Okay.
Never took flight, just ran.
Yeah. So,
But a lot of these are kind of quick, just it shot across the road, it shot across the sky. We don't have any evidence or proof that it happened.
well, and it's a lot like the Bigfoot. When Bigfoot ran across I-90 and jumped over a 4-foot barrier and was across the highway in a matter of seconds
Without missing a beat.
And you can't get a picture of that, so you have to believe, or I don't even say that you have to believe, but if you're going to believe, you have to believe that person's account of the incident,
Right.
and what they saw, and then you got to take rationality into it as well. Like if it was a bear running across the highway, it wasn't bipedal, it didn't hurdle the J rail that separates the freeway. That's not bear activity, right?
Right.
I've never seen a bear hurdle anything. They can jump over stuff, but
Not running on two
not
legs.
bipedal
Yeah.
and crossing an entire freeway in a matter of seconds. So, this one, because the first thing that came to mind when you said that it ran across, emerged from the woods, ran across and galloped in front of traffic.
Yeah.
First thought was, well, it's a horse.
Yeah.
Horse ran across the road. I don't want to discredit this person because maybe that horse had wings and a goat head. And, I don't know, because there wasn't enough detail
Right.
on that particular account. But I would also assume that if it was a horse, the guy would go, oh, look at that horse ran across the road in front of me.
Right.
It's these misidentification things that bother me the most. People always say, oh, it was just a case of misidentification. If it was a horse or a goat, wouldn't you know that's what it was?
Yeah. It can't always be labeled as a misidentification.
Yeah. I think that's my single most frustration when people don't believe what other people are trying to say happened, because I just don't think that many people are that stupid that you'd see a horse run across the road and go, oh my God, it's the Jersey Devil.
Right.
Your first thought would be it's a horse,
Yeah.
right?
Until those big leathery wings come out.
Exactly.
It takes flight.
And
Yeah.
it takes flight, So I don't know.
And, I don't know the area that well, but how many 10-foot tall, let's say they were off by 2 feet and it's still 8 foot. That's a big horse
It's a big horse with wings,
running through the woods
right?
in the middle of the night.
And another thing that is a little bit of irony is it's all taking place in near Leeds Point,
Around the same area.
9 miles away, kind of thing from the area where it was supposedly birthed. They all seem to be traveling off of Route 9, right? You've given 3 accounts. They're all on Route 9.
It's
They're
too
all seeing it.
coincidental.
It's kind of like, which I can't wait to get to our Dogman issue. When you're talking about Bray Road, you're talking about Elkhorn area, that's where all the sightings are. And so far, every sighting that we've talked about on the Jersey Devil is off of Route 9. They're all in the same basic area.
Right.
Which, if this thing's territorial, flying around near his old home,
Yeah.
which I understand that home is still in existence today.
I want to say that it's almost like a tourist trap type thing
Yeah,
now.
it's
Like
like-
you can go visit it, I believe.
been refurbished and all
Yeah.
kinds of stuff. So
Which-
another trip.
Yeah.
Another trip we got to make. Got to go see it.
That's a terrifying trip too, because if we go back to what is it, and now you're going to the site of
Yes.
some kind of demon spawn.
Right, exactly.
like, I don't know.
Kind of don't want to open my soul up for that kind of activity, but
Just keep one of those pocket Bibles and
yeah,
we'll
pocket Bible and a cross.
go. So now we got, let's see, another account here. Back in 1993, I think it was, we have a forest ranger. So to me, forest rangers, they have some of the most credible stories when it comes to cryptids because they should know the animals of their area.
Totally agree.
They're out there all the time. You have a list of your local animals. there's no way, like you said, back to the misidentifying, that you're going to misidentify this when your job is to work that area, protect the wildlife and nature.
Right.
So,
well, these guys go out and pick up dead animals, carcasses. They see prey. They see predator. They see everything out there.
exactly.
There's no way. There's nothing in. I know I said this in my last episode, and every time I have reviewed it or listened to it, and I say, there's nothing in nature, that's 8 feet tall. Well, yeah, there is. There's grizzly bears and polar bears and all that stuff.
Yeah.
That's not what I meant. What I mean is, what is the likelihood that an 8 foot tall, 700 or 800 pound grizzly was standing at my back door and just watched my wife walk away, with the dog losing its mind and all that stuff. And it's the same thing here. What ranger would see a winged, horse-head, clawed, forked-tailed animal and not be able to describe it, right? I mean, he knows it's not a bear, it's not a deer, it's not a horse, it's not, you know what I mean?
Well, and to solidify your story, he was driving along the road. Creature is in front of him, stops, slams on his brakes. He describes as being 6 foot tall with horns, matted black fur, and he reports that they were staring at each other for several minutes before it turned and ran off. So
Yeah.
it's not one of those.
So he has
accounts.
time to process
Exactly. It's not It's not the 10 foot tall horse jotting across the woods.
this. Right.
He stopped. He's staring at it. It's obviously illuminated by his headlights for several minutes. Even if it was several seconds, he should be able to make a good identification.
Yeah, it's not misidentification.
No.
He
So-
saw a horned, winged beast standing in front of him, and then that's when I can say, what in nature actually is, a 6 to 10 foot tall winged animal with black fur and horns? I mean, it just, those are the types of accounts that make you say it had to have happened.
Exactly.
Right? I mean, this guy is a forest ranger. He's not, well, I mean, we don't know. Maybe he is crazy.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Never know.
But that account, probably more so than all the ones that you've said before, this one, I would say this guy's probably the most credible, just based on his job, the fact that he had the standoff with it and was able to sit and look at it for
Right.
a while. It wasn't a glimpse or, something flying across the sky. And even then, a 6 foot winged creature, even if it wasn't the Jersey Devil, what would that be? If you're in California, maybe a rare condor sighting or something.
Yeah.
But otherwise, it's a pterodactyl or it's the Jersey Devil,
But even then, I've
There's
seen
the Thunderbird theory too, right?
Oh, yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I've seen condor before, like at the zoo and stuff. And yeah, they're huge. But I also wouldn't mistake it for something with a goat head and horns.
No, because you have the huge wingspan, but you don't have a big horse head and a body
And there's a
and
significant
horns on it.
significant difference in fur and feathers.
Yes,
That
exactly.
As a forest ranger, you should know. And he would know.
You should
I mean,
know it.
come on, he knows.
If not, he should have been fired.
Exactly, right on the
immediately.
spot. So keep going back in time here. We got in the late 80s, group of friends go out camping. They're riding dirt bikes, and of course, they're out in the Pine Barrens. They're riding down a trail. It's about 100 yards or so off of their camp, and all the bikes stall out.
Uh-oh, so you got the demonic thing going there.
And that's
Or
a
an
possibility.
EMP went off.
Yeah, it was either the communists attacking with EMPs or
Yeah.
it was demonic activity.
Exactly.
So one said there was a power plant nearby. So they said, maybe it could be that. And they kind of wrote it off as that at first. Then all the bikes just quit working totally. And then they hear what they described as a piercing, inhuman scream coming from the woods.
Yeah, I'm familiar with that.
And so, yeah, exactly. So, and you can even try to rationalize it. Maybe they don't know what certain animals sound like. Maybe they
Right.
don't know what an animal being attacked sounds like. And they're just freaked out. And they're like, oh, it can't be human because it's a cougar or mauling a deer, whatever.
Right. But couple that with everybody's, not one,
Everybody's bike,
motorcycle stalls out.
and then quits working.
Yeah.
On top of it.
It doesn't make any
A little
sense.
too coincidental.
Yeah.
So they returned to camp. Those who stayed behind said that they also heard the screams. So even the people at the camp heard the screams, the ones that didn't go out on the bike. So that's,
Oh. Yeah.
they're only 100 yards away, so they're not far, but still, it's a good distance. And then that evening, one of the men went to a local bar, was telling the bartender about all the screams that they heard. Supposedly, the bartender weighs in and says that he thinks that they had an encounter with the Jersey Devil.
Well, of course they did. So what else? What else could it have been?
Yeah.
Right? I mean, you're in the Pine Barrens. Your bike goes dead. There's screams coming from the woods. What else? What else is it?
Yeah, if you just said that they were out there riding and they heard inhuman screams, they got freaked out and they went back to camp, you could say, okay,
Yeah, you write that one off.
it's fine. That's the misidentification. You don't know what that animal sounds like.
Yeah.
But it's weird that all the bikes stalled out and then quit working.
Yeah, it just doesn't make any sense.
This makes it one, maybe even two bikes, but all of them, there's just no way.
Exactly.
Let's see. In 1980s, Wharton State Forest Chief Ranger Alan McFarland saw something that kind of freaked him out a little bit, and he was a little stumped. Out in a South Jersey farm, he found a pack of pigs that had been killed, but he reports it as the backs of their heads were eaten. Now,
So I kind of remember this incident. 1980. I do. I remember this, and it made the news because it kind of came out as an alien thing. They were thinking that something had come down and slaughtered this entire like pig farm, and I remember seeing like photos of the pigs that were eaten.
Yeah.
I mean, it was pretty. I mean, you know what? It was. I remember it being gross. I don't remember all the details because that's a long time ago,
Right.
But
well, he reports it that not only were the backs of their heads eaten, their bodies were scratched and torn up. On top of it, there's no tracks surrounding the bodies. And the weirdest part is there's no blood on the ground.
right, that's why I remember it being an alien thing. They were thinking that these pigs had been slaughtered by aliens, and they took internal organs and stuff to study. Which, I mean, it could.
Yeah.
I suppose we can have, an episode down the road on UFO encounters because I know several people that have seen UFOs, myself included.
Yeah.
And I remember this particular story because that's what they were doing. And they've even made movies similar to this.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there was one, it was an alien thing where the guy's cattle were all found dead in the field. Same thing, but the organs missing, blood completely gone, but none on the ground. And so this account could have been alien stuff, could have been Jersey Devil. I know this one's chalked up to the Jersey Devil because that's the episode we're doing here. But yeah, again, you have the chief ranger, right? Head guy. He has to be credible, right?
It has to be. I just don't see how he couldn't be.
Yeah.
You don't just make chief of forest rangers.
Right.
And I'm not trying to beat a dead horse here, no pun intended, but these guys are looking at this stuff daily. Different animals. Like you said, they're picking up animal bodies. And he said he's never seen anything like this.
Yeah.
So
Freaked him out for sure.
yeah. Now, the last account I think is my favorite account. Do you want to dive into that one?
Sure. Yeah, I can help out with that one. Let's see. So the Jersey Devils, fame, I guess you could say, or it's the major recognition of this thing being a cryptid, actually was, in January of 1909. And so if you think about it, supposedly the birth of this thing was like 1735, right?
Right, exactly.
And so nearly 200 years later, 200 years go by, you would think that the legend or the fable of that would have been kind of burned off.
Died off.
200 years.
Forgotten about.
But no, in fact, historically speaking, There were well over 1,000 reports from eyewitnesses.
Which is crazy to think about at that time.
Exactly. The population of South Jersey in 1909 probably wasn't that many people, right? I mean, there were settlements and whatnot back there, but I don't know. I didn't research enough to see what the population of South Jersey was in 1909, but it's not like it is now, right?
Exactly.
And so 1,000 people came forward stating that they were eyewitnesses to seeing this Jersey Devil. And one of the craziest things is there was this Navy commander by the name of Stephen Decatur, and they were out in the Hanover Mills works out in the Pine Barrens, and he was testing the cannonballs back then.
And just to interrupt this, to me, it's like we said with the Forest Rangers. This guy's a Navy commander.
He is a Navy commander.
You can't be a nut job and make it to Navy commander.
Right, exactly. And so, he's out here testing these cannons. And he reports that he saw the Jersey Devil. So he describes the creature. I don't believe he called it the Jersey Devil, but he describes this as a winged, horse head with the T-Rex arms and the claws and a forked tail and horns, and it's flying around. And he sights in on this thing with a cannon, fires the cannon off, and the cannonball actually blew a hole right through this thing, right? But it wasn't phased. This thing
I couldn't imagine.
Yeah, just continues flying around, and even though the projectile actually hit it, and this commander actually witnessed it get hit, it doesn't even phase him at all. He's just flying around. And so the commander is, I guess he's letting his troops know, hey, just saw the Jersey Devil, shot the darn thing. And it's still flying around, but it's gone now.
Yeah, all hands on deck.
Yeah, all hands on deck. Stand by for the attack. So they go out and they're looking around for some evidence, and they find these tracks out in the fields. And so he decides, hey, let's track this thing down. And so they bring bloodhounds in, but when the bloodhounds go over to the tracks and sniff it, they freak out and they won't.
And they refuse to follow them.
They absolutely would not follow the tracks. I can just picture them, barking and crying,
whining
and trying to get away from it. And so that brings me back to the whole demonic thing, right?
Yeah. Just like on our episode, we talked about the gnomes, where the wildlife was staring at the barn, didn't want to go to it. It's the same thing with the dogs. Those dogs are trained to pick up a scent and follow it on command.
Yeah, you see all this evil stuff, right? All this paranormal stuff. And who is it that always senses it first?
The animals.
It's the animals.
Yep.
And they don't want any part of it. It's kind of like they know that there's something wrong. Well, back in 1909, the bloodhounds were just as smart as they are today. And they said, we're not doing it. So, the bottom line is, since this commander saw it, shot it, didn't phase it, dogs refused to track it, troops are terrified now, they actually put an order out. And it caused so much alarm in the community that they shut all the schools down in the Pine Barrens, and all the kids were to remain home where they were safe. And the parents were terrified that these children were going to be abducted by the Jersey Devil.
1909 isn't really like 2024. You can't text your cousin or your uncle or your father-in-law, hey, are you okay? I just saw the news.
Right.
No, so you might have to.
These kids were under lock and key.
Yeah.
But can you imagine a community being so terrified? Oh, I remember, back in the day when Richard Ramirez, the Night Stalker, was running around, and he had Los Angeles in terror. People were afraid to go to work. People were afraid to leave their homes. And but imagine a cryptid doing that.
Yeah, a winged horse flying through the air.
A winged horse shuts down an entire community on the order of a Navy commander.
Who was probably terrified after he shot it with a cannonball, and it just laughed at him and flew off.
And so how do you write that off, right? I mean, how do you just say, nope, didn't happen, bunch of crap? I don't know that you can.
Yeah.
And so is the Jersey Devil real?
I think it is.
There's enough people
Yeah.
that are going to say, absolutely, it's real. The question is, what is it?
And it's like we said before, even if all these stories are fake, but one of them's real, then one of them's real.
And that's all you need.
And that's all you need. It doesn't matter if the other ones are fake at that point because you have that one story proving that it's real.
That's correct. And that's the way I look at a lot of cryptids and a lot of unexplained things. You know, I'm not a person. It's like I said in our first episode. I've always been the skeptic. I need solid facts before I believe stuff. But the problem is when there's so many people see stuff that it's almost a solid fact. I mean, I don't have to see it myself to believe it. I mean, there's a lot of there's a lot of things I believe in. It's kind of like I told you in the first episode. I've never seen a wolverine. I have never seen one. It's a fascinating animal. I've seen them in encyclopedias when those existed, you know.
Yeah.
And I remember one of my favorite pictures. I had this book on life sciences when I was like, I don't know, 6 or 8 years old. My grandparents bought it for me, and it was one of my favorite books. It was all about animals and plants and stuff. And there was a picture of a wolverine in there, and I was fascinated with wolverines my whole life. Well, here I am, you know, mid-60s. I've still never seen one. I live in Montana. They are here in Montana, and I've never seen one.
They don't exist.
But
there it is.
Exactly. But I still know that they exist, right? And that's kind of how I see these things. I have never personally seen a cryptid, but so many people have. How do you just discount all of them?
Especially when they're forest rangers and Navy commanders, or any other kind of credible background where these are professions that you have to have psych evals, you have to have fitness for duty evaluations. You can't just hire anybody off the street to do these. You need some kind of training and background.
Right.
So it has to be real.
It has to be. And so for the purposes of this podcast, cryptids are real, okay? And we're sticking to it.
That's right.
Now, I don't want to be the one that bursts the bubble on this story, but I've done a lot of research.
Just because the origin story might not be real, then
correct.
Doesn't always necessarily mean that the legend of it, or not the legend, but the cryptid itself isn't real.
And so enough people have seen the Jersey Devil that it lends credibility to the fact that it may, in fact, exist.
Right.
However,
how it started.
How it started, and our favorite story of Mother Leeds giving birth to the devil.
Yep. You broke my heart with this one.
I know. And I'm almost sorry that I did it, but I did search like genealogy records, and I did search state records. And what I ended up finding was that this story would be debunked based on some factual data. First off, Deborah Smith Leeds, or Mother Leeds, the one that gave birth to the Jersey Devil, she was, in fact, a real human being. She was born in 1685, and she lived in Burlington County, New Jersey. But there is no record that she was ever married to Daniel Leeds.
Nope.
And so we asked the question, well, then why is her name Deborah Smith Leeds, and why is she Mother Leeds? Well, the records show that she was married to Japhet Leeds in 1701, which was Daniel's son. One of the oldest of the Daniel herd. And if she was married to Daniel's son, then clearly Daniel couldn't be the drunk father that was in a room with his children being slaughtered when the Jersey Devil was flying around whipping everyone.
The Midlers. Yeah.
And so that theory is debunked by fact. She was never married.
Stupid facts.
Yeah, facts can get in the way sometimes. I don't want to hear the facts. I want to hear the truth.
That's right.
But history also shows that Daniel was born in 1651, and he was married to a woman by the name of Anne Stacy. And they were married in 1681. They had one little girl, Anne Leeds, who died shortly, during her infancy. And so then Daniel was very quick to remarry. And he married another lady by the name of Dorothy Young in 1683. They had 8 children, 5 boys, 3 girls. That last boy, Titan, was the one that was slandered
Carried on the legacy.
horribly by Ben Franklin and was part of the Leeds Devil story. But so Deborah supposedly is the one that gave birth to Daniel's son in 1735. Well, A, she wasn't married to him, and B, Daniel had actually died in 1720. So it was an immaculate conception by Daniel from the grave, if in fact she was pregnant with his son, because he died 15 years earlier, before the birth of the Jersey Devil. So based on factual accounts, we know that Daniel Leeds, Deborah Leeds, did not give birth to the Jersey Devil.
The legend is debunked.
Now we could jump to the conclusion that Japhet is the father of the Leeds Devil.
Yeah, there you go.
And that Deborah Smith still gave birth to.
She's still Mama Leeds in my book.
She's still Mama. She's going to be Mama Leeds for the remainder of my lifetime. But nonetheless, story debunked as it was originally told. That doesn't mean, like you said, that the Jersey Devil doesn't exist. And there's plenty of accounts and sightings. People are still in fear to this day. However, we did see only 1 in 6 people believe in the Jersey Devil.
Yeah. Yep. 1 in 6. I think that was I want to say it was in, don't quote me on this, 2016 they took that study.
Yeah.
And 1 in 6 people, I believe from the area, believe in the Jersey Devil, which not a high.
That's not a high percentage, but still 1 in 6. And, if you're talking about, thousands of people, there's still a lot of people who believe it.
Yeah, exactly. So I'll be one of them. That's okay.
I'm going to have to be one of them. That's right. Well, I have a podcast on cryptids if you don't believe.
Exactly.
Right? So, yeah. Well, anyway, I think our time's up. And that's all I got on the Jersey Devil. You got anything else?
No, I liked it. Whether or not you had to ruin my life with debunking the famous account, I still
darn that Daniel.
She's still Mama Leeds, and I still believe in it. So
yeah, same here. All right. Well, we're gonna put an end to it. And as always, if you guys have anything that you want to let us know, want to be on the show, let us know. Send us an email, and we'd love to have you on and hear what your stories are as well.
Absolutely.
So yeah, in a couple of weeks, I guess we're going to do this, like every other Friday.
Yeah.
Post our episodes. We'll be talking about the infamous Wampus cat.
The Wampus cat.
That's right.
I can't wait.
So yeah, that's
not a well-known one, but still a good story.
Not a well-known one, but definitely, I guess the people in Oklahoma down through Texas, they'll know what we're talking about.
Exactly.
And so we'll appeal to them. So anyway, that's it. You guys have a great day or night wherever you're listening, and we will see you in a couple of weeks.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for joining us today. If you enjoyed the show and you want to help us out, then go ahead and give us a follow, leave us a review, and don't forget to turn on the automatic download button so you don't miss any upcoming episodes. And as always, if you've had any experiences, stories, thoughts, comments, or questions, we'd love to hear from you. Send us an email to cryptidfanatic@gmail.com. Let us know if you'd like to be on the show or just have your story featured during one of our episodes.